Uh, I'm Sumit Simwal. I'm the tech lead for LCG at Linaro. And this here is the Android Birds of Feather session. So I don't have any slides for it. The overall idea was that we can, but I have one slide where I have some things that we probably could discuss. Um, so introduction of attendees may be a little difficult, but okay. I think we have folks from Google here. I see Danny from Samsung, and I think we have some folks from Qualcomm as well. We would like to see or discuss, this is like a small list of things that came to our mind, and we thought it may be a good idea to sit and chat if anybody wants to talk about them. Do you want to start up with a generic bootloader follow-up if there are any questions or thoughts? I know Ram took a lot of questions in his session, so probably we won't have any, but if anyone has anything else to ask or add or...
Support PVM firmware and Trustzone, Trustzone boot up.
There's a bit of fragmentation across the various trust zone applications or T surface areas. Is there some interest in standardizing what that would look like so that we could better work with T's on your end?
I'll just move here so it feels like a birds of feather and not like I'm just talking to people. Okay. So any other thoughts on?
So where do you see the fragmentation? Is it in the security boundary? Is it in the boot boundary? Like you mentioned EFI missing, but there are other security boundaries as well when it comes to like booting, right? Verified boot.
So I think the issue we're seeing right now, if we want to integrate with the various providers of Ts, Qualcomm has their own solution, QT. MediaTek users use, I believe they have a different solution that's specific to each downstream partner. And then Google uses Trusty. And so we'd have to standardize over how to interact with each of these different Ts. And then Opti is also present as well. I believe global, what's the name of the specification again? It's the global platform is an option here, but I would need some support from the Android security team to push that forward with the various T vendors.
Cool, thank you. The other thing, I sort of touched on that in the previous lightning talks was 16K page size enablement. So we know that Google has started asking and talking about enabling 16K page size kernels on devices. And as part of validating that, we were able to enable and validate on the DB845C. It was overall sort of straightforward to do it. But there are some breakages and there are some parts of the code that make page size assumptions, and we are sort of working through that. So what we have today is a software rendering based set of builds that work with both 4K and 16K page size. I'm going to show that as a demo as well on Friday. I may not have any good comparison numbers. I know there can be ways of comparing it, but I don't have that. It just happened last week, so. Yeah.
Are you planning to extend support for the app developer side of Android to see if their apps are working well on 16K?
So at Linaro, we don't have a setup of doing any app developer support. It's mostly around until user space, so mostly the system side of things. Kernel plus Android user space.
Well, how are you dealing with partners that have 0P and first-party apps in there?
Honestly, no one has come up so far to us with that. I have a feeling that those may be questions more to the Googlers than to us, because we are doing the dev board validation that, okay, this device, we are able to boot a 4K kernel and a 16K page size kernel.
Sorry, I was jumping to the notion that you're bringing up Android on the DB845, but you're not. You're just going to boot.
Android is already up on DB845C, RB5.
Right.
So there are a number of dev boards that we run Android. When I say Android, I mean ASP, but ASP on. And that has
Oh,
been...
so there's no apps preloaded on
No,
that?
no.
Okay, got it.
Only the system apps.
yeah,
we have
only
tested the
system
web
apps.
view, right? So
So you've tested the system apps on DB845 and there's no issues?
So I found one issue, which was WebView APK was, the pre-built was not meant for 16K page size support.
Uh-huh.
I had to do a build myself, and after that it was okay.
Could you send that to me?
Yeah, of course. Okay, any 16K page size related things that we may want to discuss? Actually, this is just a guidance list. If you have other things that you think are good.
As far as 16K pages go, can you test, well, I guess I should preface this with a question of, do you guys support like A/B updates on, okay, never mind that. I was gonna ask if you could test the developer option where you can boot into 16K pages.
Yeah, so we don't have AB support.
we don't have AB support now. Sorry.
So yeah, I think the context to set here is the kind of work that we are able to do and test is all dev board based so far. And with the Google landing team, of course, there is Pixel 6 and other related work that happens. But inside of LCG, we don't have the capability yet to do AB and then support AB overall in dev board.
If you were to do the LK, if you were to do the, I'm sorry. I just jumped.
No, you can go ahead, it's fine.
If you were to do the Lava appliance setup, that would be within LCG, right? And then that would be with an AB device. That would be some form of Pixel or some form of other physical device.
So I think there are multiple things that we can do. One thing is that, as far as I understand, all our Lava testing will move over to Lava appliance, automation appliance, which means that the current dev boards we have will also move, but with the whatever support we have. So we don't have AB support on those. But on form factor devices, we'll have to figure out what else needs to be done. So if AB support is possible using that, of course, we'll do that.
Since you have 16K pages working now, would it be possible for you to check, or maybe you've looked into this already, if you could use 36-bit virtual address spaces?
Like I said, this happened last week, so I've not had any chance to do any other
So you're almost done.
experimentation with that. Sorry?
So you're almost done.
Yeah, it's all done.
It'd be interesting if you could get that working,
Yeah,
just to see if there's what performance improvements you find.
okay. Yeah, that's something we can look at. So it was just a follow-up of a previous, couple of weeks back, I got to know about the comparison that we did on 16K plus versus 4K on other devices. So we thought, let's try and enable it on dev boards. That's how the whole idea came about. And of course, if that's the direction that generic ASP is taking, then as dev boards, we have to keep up with that. Now, that's where the whole thought came from. Okay. The next topic we had was mostly around device longevity in labs. So what we do, and I know Eddie and we've sort of spoken about it, but for the benefit of the larger group, right now we do almost 6-hourly testing, but the devices are always on, and they will always constantly get flashed based on how the queue size is for the jobs that have to run on them, which means that they are on a very high degradation path especially for the flash devices. So we have some devices where the cost of the device is very high, and we don't want to make it die because either they are not available easily anymore or they are too expensive to replace. So One of the things that Amit alluded to earlier was that we have started to move over to using SD cards for testing. For that, we've enabled U-boot-based boot, so chain load into U-boot and then boot everything out of SD card. Of course, the flip side will be that SD cards will die, but at least those we can replace. But if there are other thoughts around how can we do better, I know, flash management, we had a couple of radical thoughts, but I don't know if this is the forum for that. One was if for dev boards, we could have replaceable eMMCs or replaceable flash devices, whatever that standard may be. So I don't see any board vendors here, but if there were, that would have been an appeal to them. So that was one of the things we thought about. If there are other thoughts on how we can help devices be relevant in the lab longer without having to throw them away, suggestions are very welcome.
At some point, we tried to boot from USB storage as well, but we realized that the init first stage, it picks up the first block device it can find and run with that. So it was always finding either UFS or MMC, and by the time it can probe and initialize USB, it will hit that 10-second cutoff. So it will not mount anything. So there's a 10-second wait where init will wait for the block device or super device to come up. And we were not able to hit that with USB at least. Oh, that is, oh no, will you allow to extend that timer?
Yeah, so I think the sort of appeal is that when I know that when you develop for Android devices, there is a certain set of requirements and restrictions that have to happen. But if for ASP, if there are some dev board friendly things that can be done, that will be very helpful. Because we are also looking at like 8 or 10 years of testing on the same device. And to enable that, I think it's going to be an interesting challenge.
Modifying init to make that timeout configurable should be very doable for us.
So I tried that using a system property. I thought that I could do that with a system property, a vendor property. Yeah. But properties are not supported in the first stage init.
Yes. I would imagine it'd be a kernel command line situation. I imagine it'd be a kernel command line situation.
Or
sorry,
not that.
Boot config, possibly?
But first stage init doesn't support properties.
Yeah, we could definitely come up with something.
I can't think off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure both Yifan and David Anderson would probably be interested. We've had similar conversations as well in bootcamp for SD cards on production devices, so potentially you could give us some better pointers and continue the discussion there.
I can pick up another question, right? Since both Lee and Will are both here. So this question is regarding overlay FS patches. So that's a very useful tool, at least from ADB sync point of view. And it was broken in 6.8. So do you use it, or anyone who is actually trying to revive those patches for Android mainline?
Yeah, you're not the only one that has asked this question internally.
It's a very useful
Lots
tool.
of people
Yeah.
try to use it, or they do use it in their development process. So I'm trying to get it landed on Android mainline again. The reason it was reverted is because it's hard to maintain on Android mainline as new upstream changes come in. So it's constantly getting reverted. But yeah, I want it back as well. And I think there is actually a patch on Garrett right now to add it to mainline. And there was a request to test it. So if you could test it, I'll plus to it and we can get it merged.
Sure, yeah.
If you're looking for it, search for David Anderson's, if you know him, D. Vander, as the author, and you'll quite find it.
Okay, thanks. So the next one is to land support for Meson or, so we are trying to build upstream Mesa with AUSP. We used to do that till last month. Yeah, and then the support for external Mesa or external Ninja tools got dropped. So we cannot build or test upstream Mesa anymore. You can build it outside of AOSP and integrate it and test it, but we can no longer build Mesa with AOSP build system. So any help with that? Any one with the toolings you can figure out? I don't even know where to look at, honestly.
Do you know who deprecated it?
We do have an issue on the issue tracker, right?
So there are I don't know who deprecated it, but I know that internally also people are using Meson and Ninja for other things, trying to build it within ASP. So there is some support from inside Google for ASP, but it's still an open issue tracker. So.
Is Meson the same as Mesa?
No, so Meson
Graphics,
is the
okay.
build system, and Mesa is the graphics library set. Okay, so basically, I think as part of making the hermetic builds more tightened, they stopped allowing any external tools to be usable. And okay, so we can connect with you after. That's
Yeah, I
all
would
right.
say file a bug, and
Yeah.
we can, if you don't get any traction on it, let us know, and then we can try to find the right people.
Great,
to talk
thank
to.
you. The rest of them are basically question marks if there are any things that we want to talk about. So dev boards for Android project, any questions, we're happy to take. But I know most of you already have your devices in ASP, so you don't care. Android on cloud, that was an interesting one.
Actually, I have a question about boards. Do you have plans to bring up the Exynos 850 board with Android? And if so, can you support it on Android mainline?
Okay, I'll try to answer. So yes, we've had a plan. Danny's here, so he can help. Danny's from Samsung. He's the LCG steering committee member from Samsung for steering committee. We have been trying to do that. The current blockers are that the current DRM KMS drivers. So the BSP that we got, it didn't have DRM KMS drivers. Our attempt at doing that did not work out very well. So we are stuck at someone doing DRM KMS drivers for it.
It didn't work out because you didn't have the time, or you ran into like technical issues?
We ran into some issues, which I was doing that, so I couldn't figure out what are we, I mean, it's not an easy way to debug without much publicly available documentation, so.
Yeah, you are trying to downstream some the Android version, and then porting the Android. But Sumin mentioned that the DRM KMS is the kind of another story. Yeah, that's the kernel upstreaming work. But the Android, we are plan to doing that after DRM KMS driver is done. So maybe it will take the time, but we will help plan about that.
So I think the bottom line is that it's going a little slow because one key part, which is the DRM KMS driver, is not available, or we don't have that yet. E85096 otherwise is like the BSP you can boot upstream today, which I'm sure you already know. And from an Android point of view, we I think support Android a version of Android. So I think Android T.
So we were able to boot AOSP with
an
Samsung's
older kernel.
4.14 kernel.
But Android mainline is another story altogether. So that is the goal we have started with. That is the goal we still want to pursue. As soon as we are able to remove those blockers, I think we will try and get there.
Exynos 850 is on the LKFT board list, and then we are testing the kernel side of streaming. Newest version. Yeah, so kernel is no problem, but some Android framework have some. We need to supporting, get the supporting from the Samsung LSI side.
Yep. So yeah, as soon as we have anything that we can add to DevBoards for Android, it will show up there. Right now, we just blocked on it not being close enough for Android that it's missing from there. But like Danny said, it's being used for LKFT non-Android kernel testing. It's actually been very useful because we found 2 or 3 bugs that none of the other platforms found. So that was pretty good. Okay. Did you put that Android in cloud?
I did not.
Okay.
Maybe Sam did. I don't know.
Okay. Sorry? Yes, more cuttlefish. Any questions around AVF? We have a couple of sessions that are open for discussion tomorrow. So if you have any thoughts around our discussions for AVF, please connect with me or Shika here. And we'll see if we can, or Avi, we'll see if we can get together. Any questions here for AVF? We're happy to answer or try and discuss. So this list was put by a few engineers, and I don't know who put it there.
Oh.
Probably one of the guys is not here. He couldn't travel.
So at that time, he was struggling. So the question was already been asked and answered by Ram about cuttlefish, car target, or trout.
Yeah.
So that was the question he had.
I think, that's the background. You're
That's
right.
the background, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I think that information Sam has.
Yeah.
Anything else? I don't know how much time we have for now. The break is right after, so if you want to continue, we have things to talk about, we can. Otherwise, thank you very much. And if there are any Android-related topics you'd like to discuss, I'm happy to connect with the right teams.
Okay, so to reiterate this, the question was, have you fielded any demand from your consumer partners for a version of Android that is headless without having to boot all the way up to the SysUI layer?
So not from our members directly, but from community members, yes.
What's the use case they're going for?
For the custom projects which they're working on, and they don't want UI, but they do like the connectivity stack and everything else that comes with Android.
Do you have a list of, can you like compile that into a very short summary of asks?
Sure. Yeah.
Because it's something that we've been considering for a while.
Oh, that would be great, actually.
But I mean, I'm
So,
not going
I
to
read-
put my head on the stick. Like, there's got to be data to back that up.
So I read a quote somewhere that AOSP is the new busy box. And I just liked it because that's what people are using it right now as. Instead of gathering the busy, earlier we used to have the busy box and integrate everything, command line tools and everything. Now AOSP provides everything if we just get rid of the display. Because that's the overhead which they don't want, but everything else they just love because it comes with everything.
But what is missing from like a normal like rootfs system that Android would provide?
Connectivity, let's say.
They don't have that.
But there's also I was talking to
Debian
Sarah
doesn't
about
have that?
Sorry?
Debian doesn't have connectivity?
They do have, now they do, but 5 years ago, at least when I started with my embedded journey, so we used to have to pick one project from some place and another one from some place, and let's hope that it will work. So I'm sure that things must have improved now.
Yeah, with like Raspberry Pi, like it seems like it has full connectivity function. Maybe not modem, but other Wi-Fi and stack and network stack.
It must be, yeah.
You can check with like the contacts Amit may have from community. You can check with them if that's still something you need. But it was, Amit is right, it was like a very hot topic in
I remember that one question from last ELC was dual displays or multiple displays. They were not aware that Cuttlefish already does that. So we pointed them out that, okay, look at Cuttlefish, it's already doing it, so pick what you want from the stack and get started with that. So maybe things are already there and developers or people don't know that it's already out there.
All right, I think we're just running out of time. So thanks everyone. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you around.